As the theatrical run for Thor Love and Thunder is winding down, there's already a lot of pieces out there talking about why exactly the film underperformed compared to not just the other most recent MCU release, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but also why does the Thor franchise seem to be diminishing returns and always falling below expectations? Well, let's talk about that. Okay, look, I know it's become almost illegal to try to say something bad about MCU. You can say Thor Love and Thunder underperformed, which it clearly did compared to some of the expectations. People will automatically call you an MCU hater, or a DCEU fanboy, or you hate this franchise because of this, or you hate that. Maybe people are just pointing out that it didn't live up to actual expectations that anybody had any single weekend. Right? Can we all agree on that? And also, a lot of the repeat viewings that weren't there by hardcore fans because they were put off by their initial viewing, I think that's a factor as well that's reflected in the actual review scores from critics and the audience scores, which are legit. Also, looking at CinemaScore for a legit outlet. So it's not just, oh, people hate it, or, oh, you're just a hater. No, there's clearly something here. And if we look at the trajectory of other MCU franchises, Captain America, upwards. Iron Man, upwards. Doctor Strange, upwards. Ant-Man, upwards. Guardians of the Galaxy, upwards. The only one that's seen an actual downfall is Thor. That much is clear, right? I'm not hating here. Yes, it's not my favorite film. I'm just pointing out a fact. You can love the MCU all you want and say, oh, people just don't understand the film. The proof is in the pudding. The film didn't perform as well as expected, especially that people were saying, well, if Doctor Strange made over 920 million, this is going to come in at that 850 to 900. It's going to do way better than the last film. It obviously hasn't. So what's going on here? And honestly, I'm inclined to believe with a lot of the pieces I'm seeing hit that are saying, which is what I've been saying, I don't think Thor is as popular as many people would like him to be within Marvel Studios and the Marvel fan base, and I think a lot of these diminishing returns are the fact that he was never the most popular Avenger. Not because there's anything wrong with Thor, I've said he doesn't click with me, but I think right from the start, his franchise, his films were always the ones that felt off. If you go back to Phase 1 and you watch Thor 1, which still has one of my absolute favorite scores, and I love that film. I can rewatch it almost any time. If somebody tosses it on, I will sit there and watch the entire thing, not complain about it for 1 second. It felt different than the rest of the MCU that was trying something different. The Dark World was a misstep. Thor Ragnarok took the character in a bold, new, fresh direction, which I loved. That's one of my favorite Thor films that features the character. So technically MCU films that features the character. But overall, there is this sense that this franchise isn't able to sustain itself as much as your Iron Man or your Captain America or even your Doctor Strange. And again, I think that there's something to the character that doesn't appeal as much to everyday people. I was actually looking at some of the responses in some of those comments from like Variety and Deadline, and what I saw was this notion that people don't relate to Thor. And I actually took this to heart because this is how I feel about it. I always said when I was way younger, I was more into DC because powerful characters, gods everywhere. You know, there's all these powerful characters that just seem unstoppable. Marvel always went against that, and they tried to build the humanity, the human side, and then the powers were second, right? There's always consequences and things. Thor doesn't really have that. And in the MCU, you can see that people are gravitating more towards these characters that have more human vulnerabilities. And sure, I know, I'm clearly missing the point about the cancer and the stuff in Thor Love and Thunder, whatever the comments are going to say. I'm just saying the appeal clearly isn't there for Thor, because the fan base seems to be slowly going away, just like the box office. So I don't know, maybe they'll fix it in the next one, or maybe they won't, I don't know, but I know one thing I'm not looking forward to, and that's another standalone Thor film. I'm honestly just past this franchise. I just want them to move on and give us something new.